We're just under halfway through season number 5 here in the Portland Trail Blazers, MyNBA franchise, here on NBA 2K24. It has been a wildly successful start to the season for the Blazers, who are currently 29-5, which is the best record in the NBA. As it stands now, we have half as many losses as the second-place team in the West, Sacramento, who has dropped 7 of their last 10 games, with one of those 3 wins, of course, being against us. The Spurs, Rockets, and even the Pelicans have all caught up to Sacramento quite a little bit, while we have been able to bridge a gap between us and the Kings at the top of the conference. There have been a lot of surprises throughout the West this year, such as the Lakers and the Sonics being as good as they are, and teams like the Jazz, the Thunder, and the Mavericks, who had high expectations coming into the year, really disappointing. As for the East, all hell has broken loose. Top 4 teams are within 2 games. Top 7 teams are within 3 games. The Pistons have been the number 1 seed for most of the year, but they're now in 7th. The top 9 teams are within 4 games. The top 12 teams are within 7.5 games. That's the same gap between us and basically 3rd and 4th place in our conference. Now, we do have a handful of injuries, Scoot Henderson being the new big one. We've been able to manage without Zay Logan and Khalil Griffin for much of December. But Scoot Henderson just got injured at the end of the last episode, and it sucks because he's going to be out through the All-Star break. He's not going to hit the threshold for All-NBA, which is really unfortunate because I feel like this is his first chance to make an All-NBA team and make an All-Star team, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen because of this injury. Caleb Marsh is the starting point guard now. We have Ochai Agbaji starting at the 3, and our team obviously lacks depth, being that 3 of our key 8 players are injured. So before we hop into any games, I kind of want to give you guys an update on where we are in terms of teams around the league buying or selling stars, because we are getting close to the trade deadline and we could see some big moves. I don't think that big move is going to be from us, though, because we don't have a ton of financial flexibility. We already have 4 big contracts at the moment. Darius Springer's a restricted free agent this year. Khalil Griffin's a restricted free agent next year. Zay Logan's also a guy who I would like to prioritize extending. So because of that, we don't exactly have the money to go out and make a big swing unless we packaged, say, Porzingis and Agbaji. But considering we don't really have a ton of draft assets, I'm not really sure those 2 guys could packages to get something better than what we already have. No, I will say this Wizards pick in 2029 could be our magnum opus. I still don't know how the Wizards traded us that pick because they're one of the worst teams in the league this year. Actually, the worst. They're probably going to be pretty bad again next year, which is when the pick is. And it's unprotected, so that could be a big asset for us down the line. In terms of some other teams who could make some swings, there are a handful. A number here at the bottom who could be looking to unload their star players, and teams at the top here who could be aggressive. I think the most obvious seller is the Denver Nuggets. They've been disappointing over the last few years. Nikola Jokic's play has taken a step down, but I don't think it's because of skill, more so because I don't really think he cares. With the team not contending, there's no incentive for him to perform. The Grizzlies now in the Eastern Conference have been a complete disaster. They've won 7 games this year. Ja Morant has an estimated wins added of 7.7. So that means if you're telling me the Grizzlies had league average point guard play, does that mean they'd be winless? Probably not, but I think moving on from Morant would make the most sense for both sides. Now, I will say, Ja Morant did just sign a Supermax extension, which makes things a little bit awkward in terms of that. But the Grizzlies are really bad. Their roster's horrible. They're not going anywhere. I think it would benefit both sides if they split. Now we get to some of the more wild cards, and it starts with the Golden State Warriors, who have been disappointing this year. Their roster lacks outside of Steph Curry and Donovan Mitchell. Curry's 39. It seems like he's planning to retire at the end of the year. So that poses the question, what would Curry rather? Retire as a Warrior or get one more swing at a title? With Donovan Mitchell, I think it's a lot easier, being that he's only been here for 3 years and isn't a Golden State legend. I think a Donovan Mitchell trade is one that could make a lot of sense if the Warriors want to sell. Now we get to the real wild cards. The Pelicans are fascinating because they've played well as of recent. They've got some young talent with Troyland Battle and Jalen Richmond, but also 2 older stars with Zion Williamson and De'Aaron Fox, both of whom have been injured over the last week or two, where the Pelicans have played some of their best basketball has been without those guys in the lineup, which is kind of odd. Here they beat the Spurs, one of the best teams in the league, with 40 points from Troyland Battle, who is this team's best player. He's better than Zion. He's better than Fox. Cameron Banks was unbelievable. Jalen Richmond, former number 3 overall pick. He looks like a possible star in the making. The Pelicans have young pieces already, and I feel like Zion and Fox might be altering their development. But on the flip side, these guys also have the assets to theoretically get another big star in the future. The Thunder are another weird one because they've been really good over the past few years, but they've been disappointing this year. I don't think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would be available, but maybe someone like Ingram, Jalen Williams, or Chet Holmgren. I think they really regret choosing Ingram over Mikal Bridges in free agency as Bridges returned to the Nets and has been a key addition for their success. The Cleveland Cavaliers also feel kind of unlikely, but I wouldn't rule it out. The Cavs have been wildly successful throughout this franchise, but they've been disappointing this year. Darius Garland only has 2 years left on his deal. Evan Mobley, meanwhile, is an unrestricted free agent this offseason. If the Cavs don't think they can win with these two, maybe moving on from them and getting a king's ransom in a trade would do them well. I'd be surprised if especially they make a move along with New Orleans and Oklahoma City, but I wouldn't rule it out. I think it's possible. Let's now take a look at some of the buyers, and the Lakers are the obvious number 1 candidate here. They've got 2 max contract slots and are ready to spend. Dante Del Toro has taken a leap in his second season, and Bryson Franklin looks really good too. The Lakers traded away Bam Adebayo in the offseason, knowing that they had these 2 young superstars and are going to be able to attract stars to want to play with these guys. Now, the Lakers have been better than expected, so because of that, they may rush things a little bit and go for a trade rather than wait until free agency in the offseason. The biggest surprise in the NBA has possibly been the New York Knicks, who have gone through a roller coaster in this series. They won the finals in season 1 as a 6 seed. Then they dropped off, trading everybody. Last year, they went into the season as the worst team in the league on paper, and they were really bad. They've added some veterans like DeAndre Ayton, Tyler Hero, and Jarris Walker. And all of a sudden, they're in second place in the Eastern Conference, and they've got a boatload of assets in terms of players and picks who they can move for a star. The Jazz are a team I've highlighted since the offseason. They drafted Sidi Ghaffari 2nd overall. I think him, Tyson Ledbetter, and Cassius Maxey are the 3 guys who would be really untouchable here. Ledbetter, I think, is going to be an all-star. Jaren Jackson, I think, would be really expendable. I think he's the guy that they would possibly move out along with some of these youngsters. And don't forget, they added Tyrese Maxey in the offseason as well. And after their slow start, they've played a lot better. The Raptors are the 3 seed. They were really good as well last year. They've got a good nucleus with Rurik Yakovlev, Scotty Barnes, and Desmond Bane, but maybe making another big swing wouldn't hurt them. The Brooklyn Nets have also been a major shock. They are the number 1 seed in the league after bringing back Mikal Bridges a season and a half after trading him to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They traded for Bam Adebayo and have seen a huge step from third-year guard Dante Kingsley, who's really developed into a star. The Nets have a ton of former lottery picks. 1 or 2 of Jalen Thamba, William Abimbola, and Jet Adams could be expendable, and those guys look like great young assets for a selling team, so I would expect Brooklyn to be very aggressive. The Spurs as well could be interesting because obviously they have Victor Wembanyama, who's the best player on the planet, but the rest of their roster really is not all that good. Despite that, they are the 3 seed, and I would imagine they want to keep Wemby as happy as possible, so getting another star for him would make a lot of sense. We just covered nearly half the league. There's so many teams that could be looking to buy or sell this year at the deadline, including who we just mentioned, the Spurs, who are next on the schedule for us. And obviously, we've got some history with San Antonio, being that we've played against these guys 2 years in a row in the postseason. We beat them in the first round last year in only 5 games, and the Spurs might be looking for a little bit of revenge. Now, as I mentioned, this San Antonio roster is kind of lacking outside of Wembanyama. Their second highest rated player is point guard Marco Romano, who's only an 83 overall. Their second leading scorer is 6-man Rashad Rose, and the rest of the roster is just not all that. As for the Blazers, though, we've got to deal with these injuries. How is the team going to fare, especially offensively, without the engine, Scoot Henderson, over the next month and a half to 2 months? Another underrated storyline here is the MVP race. Wembanyama is second in estimated wins added, only behind Luka Doncic, and the Mavericks are in like 11th place. He should not be in the MVP race. Wemby's the best player on the planet, as I mentioned. He should be the front runner for the award. But behind him, I would make the argument that Darius Springer probably belongs in second place. The only other players with a high estimated wins added are Dante Del Toro and LaMelo Ball. Dante's team is 500. They've exceeded expectations, but they're probably not good enough. LaMelo you can make the argument for, but I think Springer is too good on both ends of the floor to where he's been more impactful this year than LaMelo Ball. Add to the fact that Springer's team is by far the best in the NBA. And when you take Victor Wembanyama out of the equation, it really looks like Darius Springer could make a case for the MVP. So I feel like this game, Springer in particular has got a chip on his shoulder because he's got a chance to show the world that he belongs in the MVP conversation, which nobody really could have expected 2 or 3 years ago when Springer was a raw rookie shooting barely 42% from the field. So the tip-off is won by Wembanyama, and we are underway here on New Year's Eve in San Antonio. The 29-5 Blazers look to add another win as Sharp fools the defender off the fake and drills the triple. Along with Springer, Shaedon Sharpe is going to have to carry the load offensively. Among your top 4 players, 2 of them are out, so the other 2 are going to have to deliver. There's Victor Wembanyama for 3 amongst the NBA leaders in points, rebounds, blocks, estimated wins added, and really every advanced metric as Springer sends himself inside with the slam, tied at 5. Nice offensive rebound by Marco Romano. He gets it to the rookie, hailing from Germany, Eamon Seaman, who is no good. But Wemby's there with the putback, and he draws the foul. And 1 for Victor Wembanyama, who's off to a hot start. Spurs lead 10-5. Ochai Agbaji on the drive with the Euro step, and the layup is good off the assist by the rookie, Caleb Marsh. 10-7 now. Romano with it. Step back over Porzingis, no good. Another offensive rebound and another putback for Victor Wembanyama, who was already off to quite the start here in the first quarter. Time winding down on the shot clock. Spurs got to get it off quick, and Eamon Seaman delivers. The 4th overall pick, who's had a really strong rookie year, hits the 3, as this one is tipped and stolen away by Wembanyama. He gets it to Seaman for 3 again. Eamon Seaman has San Antonio up by 7, and Portland's got to call a timeout. They've got to go to the bench now, which is not ideal because most of these bench guys are fringe rotation players. There's Shaedon Sharpe with an electrifying slam over Domantas Sabonis. 22-15. Wemby's guarded by Ashton Wisham, who of course is only 1 inch shorter than Wembanyama, but Victor is so skilled, it's still nearly impossible to guard him. 24-15. Sharpe, fadeaway 3 is good. Shaedon Sharpe already with 10 points, off to a strong start. The rest of the team, though, only has 8 points through 7.5 minutes. That's not good. Rashad Rose, the 6th man, is in for the layup. Former Cleveland Cavalier guard has really broken out as the lead scorer off the bench for the Spurs. Here on the other end, this is the rookie, Xavion Pratt. He gets it over to Rose with room for 3, and it's good. Ashton Wisham had a good contest, and Wisham's like a foot taller, but the shot still goes in anyway. 29-21, Wembanyama for 3. Victor is off to quite the start. He's got 15 here in the first quarter, as it's an 11-point game. Portland's offense has really laid an egg here in the first, with the exception of Shaedon Sharpe, who's got 2/3 of Portland's points with 16 here in the quarter. Wemby on the drive. Layup is good, and the Spurs are back ahead by 10. Portland looking for one more shot. It's Shaedon Sharpe with it. He's got a few seconds left, looking to get some room. Step back at the buzzer, no good. And that'll wrap things up here in the first. 24-34, the Spurs with the edge. Wembanyama and Sharpe are dealing so far, and neither of them have come out the game yet. Sharpe is blocked by Wemby, but Porzingis is right there with the putback. Good play there by Kristaps, who obviously has to step up, being the main assignment for Wemby, as Sharpe misses once again. He's starting to cool off a little bit after his great beginning. Wemby, spin move, jumper, and the foul! How are you supposed to guard this guy? Wembanyama's got like 20 points, while Darius Springer has 2. I think Victor Wembanyama's made it clear who the MVP is at this point in time. Shaedon Sharpe with the dunk off the inbound. He's now got 20. Wemby guarded by Springer, no good, with the rebound and the putback, and Wemby continues to dominate Darius Springer, making Springer look like an afterthought. He's been a non-factor today. Simmons to Wembanyama for 3 at the top of the key. It is good. Again, how do you guard this guy? There's no stopping him. 10-point game still. Rashad Rose guarded by Malachi Suleiman. And Rose makes the play. One of the best offensive bench guards in the league against one of the best defensive guards off the bench, as Simmons is blocked by Porzingis. He gets it to the rookie, Caleb Marsh, who throws it down right in front of Wembanyama. And the lead now sits at 8. 46-38. Rose gets it over to Ben Simmons for three. Hello? Did Haley's Comet just hit? Ben Simmons just made a three. 49-40 now. Saman gets it over to Josh Hart on the drive. Layup is off the mark, but Wemby's right there. Put back, and the foul, and one. Again, how do you guard this guy? He's 7'4". He can shoot. He's skilled. He's fast. There's nothing you can do as Springer dunks it over the former Blazer, Ben Simmons. Only 6 points today for Springer. Has not been his day offensively. He's been inefficient and ineffective. Cannot say the same for Shaedon Sharpe. He hits the corner three off the assist from Springer. Sharpe now is 25. That's still over half of Portland scoring. Sharpe has not sat a single second, by the way. Xavier Pratt, the rookie out of Miami, connects on the triple. A projected top pick going into last season. Pratt had a disappointing freshman year at Miami, but has gotten good minutes with the Spurs as Wembanyama hits the turnaround mid-range jumper because, again, there's no physical way to stop this guy. 51-60, pump fake, Sharpe on the drive, over Wembanyama! Shaedon Sharpe with an exclamation over the big fella! Hopefully that can give Portland some momentum as the lead now sits at 7. Under a minute to go in the half. Saman is blocked by Sharpe! In transition, Springer, Sharpe, deep three, bang! 30-piece in the first half for Shaedon Sharpe. 4-point game, Sharpe, pump fake over to Abaji. His shot is good, and all of a sudden, the lead sits at 2. The Spurs have a few more seconds to get one more shot off. It's Marco Romano at the buzzer, no good. Portland really hasn't played that well in the first half. There has been no stopping Wembanyama, but the fact that we're only down by 2 is encouraging. After struggling early, we kept pace with the Spurs in the second quarter before going on a big run late. The star power has obviously stolen the show today. Over half of our points, 30, have been scored by Shaedon Sharpe, and over half of San Antonio's points, 34, have been scored by Wembanyama. Into the second half, Springer with the slam over Sabonis. He's got a double-double now, 10 and 12. And we're knotted up at 62. Portland looking for the lead. It would be their first since the early minutes. But Wembanyama puts the Spurs back ahead. That's 38 now for Victor. As it's 64-63. Wemby guarded by Wisham. This is the matchup the Blazers want, but Ashton Wisham can't keep up, and it's not his fault. Wemby just moves so differently at 7'4". Step back, jumper, hits it, and Victor Wembanyama is in the 40s. 68-63, Portland calls a timeout, and I found this interesting. 97% of our points today have been scored by the starters. The bench has produced 2 points. A layup in the first quarter from Christian Coloco. That's it. The bench has given Portland literally nothing. 2 of their 63 points. Romano off the steal, hits the jumper. The Italian stallion makes it a 7-point game. 63-70 off the screen. Shaedon Sharpe for 3. It's good. Another triple for Shaedon. He's got 34 points. Widely expected to shatter his career high at this rate. 70-66. Saman in the corner. Josh Hart for 3 is good. Remember, the Blazers inquired about a draft day trade with the Spurs, which would have gotten them Hart. Obviously, they ended up with Cole Anthony instead, as Shaedon Sharpe catches another body. This time it's Domantas Sabonis. 73-68. Romano open 3, buries it. Romano's had a solid season. He's averaging 28 and 7. The one issue with his game is his efficiency. 43% from the field. Not a great three-point shooter, but he's got everything else. Pick and roll. Springer to the big man, Ashton Wisham. Just the second field goal made by someone coming off the bench today. Sabonis, no good. Nice defense by Springer. Here comes Portland on the other end. Sharpe for 3. It's good! Shaedon Sharpe's got 39, while Wembanyama has really cooled off over the last couple of minutes. Wemby's gotten tired, while Sharpe, who's still played the entire game, hasn't lost much of a beat. Saman hits the 3-0 for the Spurs. They're back ahead by 8. Romano with it, looking to get off the screen with the drive over Springer. And Romano, who of course was in that same draft class as Darius Springer, makes it a double-digit lead. Impressive because this game was tied up a few minutes ago. As Sharpe is in for another slam, he's now got 43. Wisham with the snuff on Simmons. Portland's got a few more seconds before the end of the third. Springer, pump fake, layup is good over Ben Foltz, and it's 86-79, and that will do it for the third. Mostly a good quarter for the Spurs, despite Wembanyama being pretty quiet, as Victor only shot 5 of 13 from the field, but everybody else on the roster stepped up. Wisham with the snuff to start the fourth. On the other end, Wisham over to Cole Anthony, and he will make the layup. Anthony, the former Spur, who was a key bench player on this team a few years ago, gets his first points of the game. Simmons over to Wembanyama. His jumper will fall as Victor Wembanyama looks to pick it up after really not that good of the third quarter. Sharp with it on the drive. Gets it over to Porzingis. And Porzingis makes the layup. Sharp is starting to run out of gas. He still has not sat a single second, by the way, as it's only a one-point game. Good start to the quarter for Portland. Romano, big three, buries it. That was a deep three, fade away, contested. One of the more impressive shots you'll find. Armani Robinson in the corner for Shaedon Sharp. That's 46, tying a career high for Sharp. He looks to break it now. Step back, midi is good. A career high, 48 points for Shaedon Sharp. We've still got 6 minutes left, and the lead is down to 1 with Portland in takeover mode. Hart off the fake, jumper inside, no good. Wemby, rebound, put back is good for the Frenchman. Wembanyama also nearing the 50 mark like Sharp, as he's got a little bit of room on the drive. Layup with the left hand is good for Victor Wembanyama. 90-95, under 5 to go. Sharp with the screen. Looks for a little pick and roll, but he'll take it himself with the 360. And Shaedon Sharp now with the big 5-0. He draws the double. Abaji, 3 for the tie is no good, but he's fouled. You'd think Wemby would know better. Don't foul the jump shooter. Ochai would make 2. Lead still with the Spurs as Wemby blocks Abaji inside. On the other end, Josh Hart with it over to Wembanyama. Jumper over Abaji is good. The best offense is good defense. Wemby with the block and the jumper on the other end. 96-99. Shaedon Sharp with it inside for Porzingis, who gets the dunk. The Spurs are playing tight defense on Sharp, who isn't as explosive, being that he has played the entire game. He has Springer open for 3, and we're tied! Darius Springer knocks down the triple. We're knotted up at 101. Grab your popcorn, folks. The comeback is alive. Wemby misses for the lead. Portland now looking to put themselves ahead. Sharp, pump fake on the drive. Layup is no good. Big stop for the Spurs. They'll get it back with exactly a minute to go. This feels like a playoff game with the defense that's been played today. Seaman knocks down the triple. And the rookie puts the Spurs up by 3, but here's Wembanyama with the steal. On the other end, Wemby, step back. He hits the 3. And this once tie game is now a 6-point Spurs lead in the matter of seconds. And now Portland's got to panic. Sharp draws the double. Ochai wide open. Gets a 3 right back for the Blazers. And the deficit sits at 3. Probably going to have to foul soon with under 30 to go. As Romano has it on the drive in for Seaman. And he's pressured out of bounds. Portland's going to get it. They have one timeout. The game clock is a little bit ahead of the shot clock, and Portland's going to hold on to the timeout. They can use it here if they need it later in the possession, or they can hold it. They can go for a quick 2 or hold and go for the 3. The longer they wait, though, the more obvious they need to shoot a 3. Sharp is doubled on the drive, hoping somebody gets open. He gets it to Springer. Portland's got to shoot this ball. Now it's Marsh. He has it. This is a 2. No good. Rebounded by Wembanyama, and Portland cannot foul in time, and the Spurs will survive. 107-104 is your final. That was an ugly final offensive possession. It doesn't help that everybody on the team was completely out of gas. We got no production from the bench. The starters had to pretty much carry us, and by the end of the game, they had nothing left. Even if we did tie it, I don't see how we could have won in overtime. 57-21, along with 5 blocks for Wembanyama on plus shooting. What else is there to say? There's no way to guard him. I'm sorry. Nobody else on the Spurs was all that effective, but they didn't need to be. He was not the only 50-point scorer, as Shaedon Sharp drops a 50-piece for the first time in his career, also with a season high in assists at 8. He went 8 for 15 from deep. The rest of the team went 2 for 8. Darius Springer with 17, 20, and 7, but he was inefficient and just didn't have the best overall game. Springer did hit a big three to tie it with around 2 minutes left, the first three by somebody other than Sharp today. Agbaji was decent. Porzingis, obviously, was a traffic cone on defense, and nobody else was really all that effective. So an unbelievable performance by Wembanyama and the Spurs. And with that, the Blazers lose just their 6th game of the year. We're going to simulate to this matchup against the Pelicans now, who are the 5th seed. They're a team I've had my eye on since the start of the year. I wanted to make it a point to play against them, so we're going to simulate against Minnesota and Golden State. And we get offered this trade from the Jazz. They want Ochai Agbaji back for Jaren Jackson. You'd think this was a really good deal for us, but that's not the case. Ochai Agbaji has been considerably better than Jaren Jackson this year. The Jackson signing has just been a major flop for Utah. He's turned into one of the worst contracts in the league, while Ochai averaged 18 in December on great efficiency. We ended up winning both games, albeit they were both a little closer than they should have been. All 5 of the starters scored 20 against the Timberwolves. So again, an over-reliance on the starters, but they were a lot more successful than they were against San Antonio. Shout out Caleb Marsh, rebound shy of the triple-double. And then against the Warriors, 33, 16, and 8 for Springer, 28 and 11 for Sharp. Great game from Agbaji, who's been on a tear over the last month or so. And we get some really good news. Khalil Griffin is back. He's missed the last month or so with an ankle injury. So having him back to the lineup is a big deal because we've really missed his two-way versatility. He can guard the opposing best player, and he can create his own shot. He can create shots for others. And we've really missed that. We've only gotten 2 guys who really can make plays in isolation for the offense. Now, well, we have 3. Let's take a look at New Orleans. They've got De'Aaron Fox back, but will not have Zion Williamson today. Obviously, their young stars are former top picks Jalen Richmond and Troyland Battle. Richmond's a good player with poor efficiencies. He's a really bad three-point shooter. And then Troyland Battle is averaging 29 points per game on nearly 50, 40, 90 shooting. Battle's been one of the best players in the league, but they have him on the bench for Herb Jones, who's shooting 37% from the field. I can't really say I get it. And we'll really talk about why that makes no sense in a moment. But first, the MVP race and the awards are now up, and Darius Springer is in 3rd place. My hypothesis was correct. Wemby's in 1st, Luka's in 2nd. Wemby obviously deserves to be number 1, and then Luka, I get it. He's been the 2nd best player in the league this year. He plays on a bad team, and if you want to value team success, it probably should be Springer, but I'm happy he's ahead of all those guards because he should be. Caleb Marsh is the only other Blazer currently in the top 5 for any awards, although I will mention Enzo Shabazz leads the way for most improved with the Sonics. Good for him. I'm happy for Enzo. He deserves it after that Game 7 against the Suns he had in the 2nd round last year. So let's look into this game now against the Pelicans, who I would say by far are the weirdest team in the NBA because they've got 2 now older stars who could be on their way out in De'Aaron Fox and expiring contract Zion Williamson. But the Pelicans also have a ton of young assets, including 2 budding stars with Jalen Richmond and Troyland Battle. Battle, in particular, has really become one of the best players in the league. He's top 10 in the NBA this year in estimated wins added, and he's someone who I think could be a number 1 option for a championship team. Now, the weird thing here is the Pelicans have him coming off the bench, which really makes no sense because New Orleans' lineup has no spacing. The 2 wings, Jalen Richmond and Herb Jones, combined to shoot 25% from 3. Onyeka Okongwu is a non-shooting big. Kenyon Martin Jr. and De'Aaron Fox are also not great three-point shooters. Nobody in their starting lineup can space the floor, so when their starters are in the game, we're going to be sagging off from the perimeter, daring them to shoot the ball. Portland wins the tip. On the opening possession, it's Griffin with the cut. He gets the layup, and Khalil Griffin, in his first possession back in around a month, ends up scoring. Springer on the drive to Marsh, over to Griffin, pump fake, fools Jones, and Griffin is in with the windmill slam. The only reason why Herb Jones starts over Troyland Battle, other than pure stupidity, is for defense, but Jones can't even get the stop there. 6-3, Springer, layup, no good, grabs his own rebound, pump fake over to Porzingis, and that one bounces in for an and one. An ultra-lucky bounce for Porzingis. He's fouled by Kenyon Martin Jr. as it's 9-5. De'Aaron Fox out to Herb Jones for 3, misses it, left him open on purpose because he cannot shoot. On the other end, Shaedon Sharpe hits the open 3 in transition. That, my friends, is why we are leaving the Pelicans starters open from deep. Fox misses inside. Good defense by Marsh. On the other end, Darius Springer's guarded by Fox. That is a mismatch, and Darius Springer takes him to the cup. And it's 14-5. Big start for Portland. New Orleans' offense has been a disaster. Shocking, I know. It appears we have figured them out. As Jalen Richmond makes the layup. The Pelicans trying to get some shots inside because Lord knows they cannot shoot the three. Kenyon Martin Jr. with the steal on the other end. Martin's doubled inside for Fox. He gets the layup and the foul and one. Historically, De'Aaron Fox is a player who's always done really well against us. So that's obviously going to be something to watch out for, along with Troyland Battle, who still has not come in the game yet for God knows what reason. Ochai Agbaji! Open corner three will fall. It's now 17-12. Fox is snuffed by Day'Ron Sharpe. Anthony, with no one ahead, tries to lob it up. Boink! It goes above the shot clock, nearly in the hoop, and Sharpe ends up missing the layup. That was one of the possessions of all time. Following series for New Orleans. Here's Fox inside, looking to make a play, and he is blocked again by Day'Ron Sharpe. Portland looking to execute now on offense. Shaedon Sharpe with it. He will get it to Springer. Springer looking for the screen from Sharpe. Springer on the drive, gets it to Sharpe. Layup, and the foul! And one for the big man, Day'Ron Sharpe, as he's fouled by Jalen Richmond. Sharpe would miss the free throw. Lead stays at 7. Cole Anthony with the drive out to Springer. Corner three. Buries it. Little pick and pop action. The lead back at 10. The Blazers offense is picking it up, and their defense has still been really good. Jalen Richmond, wide open three is good. We're not going to be discouraged to let them shoot, though. The more threes they take, the more wasted possessions they'll end up with. But even a blind squirrel finds a nut. Now, you can't sag against these backups, such as point guard Cameron Banks, who hits the three there. Banks is a really good player off the bench, along with, of course, Battle, as Shaedon Sharpe is in with the layup. It is an 8-point game, 28-20. Cameron Banks brings it up. Former first-rounder out of Duke. Gets it to Richmond off the screen. Another three for Jalen Richmond. Again, a 26% three-point shooter, but he's got 2 here in the first quarter. Richmond guarded by Sharpe. Pump fake with the throwdown, and Richmond is in the double figures. It's only a one-score game now. Khalil Griffin with the drive. Pump fake in the corner. Agbaji for 3. It's good! Another triple for Ochai Agbaji. 5-point lead for Portland with just seconds left in the quarter. Sharpe guarded by Battle. Layup is no good. Nice defense by the rookie McConer inside. And it's 31-26 through the first. Rough offensive start. The Pelicans' offense is a joke, as I suspected. And Portland's offense has been really sloppy so far with the turnovers. Wisham misses a layup. My brother in Christ, you are 7-3. Battle on the other end takes himself to the rack. And Troyland Battle is on the board. Again, averaging 29 a game this year, but can't crack the starting lineup. Khalil Griffin with the throwdown over Battle. Of course, Griffin and Battle in that same Season 2 draft class, and they're 2 of the best players from what ended up being a loaded group. As Griffin is in with the layup, he's got 10. They have the big man McConer guarding Griffin, and that's a mismatch. Griffin is just too fast and stealthy. Here's Fox, open 3. In the corner is good. Only a 2-point game now. Malachi Suleiman brings it up, gets it to Griffin. Again, guarded by the big. And again, that's a mismatch. Khalil Griffin's got too quick of a first step. McConer cannot hold him. 37-35. Anthony pump fake, looking for the screen. On the drive, Porzingis open, corner 3 is good. Kristaps Porzingis hits the 3, 39-42. Both offenses playing a lot better here in the second quarter. Sharpe with it. He's doubled. Agbaji, corner 3, will fall. Ochai Agbaji, 3 for 3 from beyond the arc today. And he has 9 points on just 3 shots. 41-46, little pick and pop. Here's Springer, open 3 is good. I was concerned about the Pelicans' perimeter offense, but it might be their perimeter defense, which is the bigger issue. Here's Battle on the drive. Layup is good. Troyland Battle can score from everywhere on the floor, in the paint, in the mid-range, from 3. He can really do it all as a scorer. As Marsh lobs it up for Porzingis, as the Blazers have been able to maintain a steady lead, but New Orleans has been able to stay in the game. Richmond doubled. I don't know why. He gets it over to an open Cameron Banks. Again, why is he open? Hits the 3. 51-46. Here is Sharpe with it. Guarded by Banks. On the drive with the throwdown over Okongwu. Nice play there by Shaedon Sharpe. He's got 9. 48-53 with 3 to go in the half. Springer sets the screen for Marsh. His layup is good. Nice play there by the rookie, Caleb Marsh. 8-point game. Okongwu on the inbound. Gets it over to Aaron Fox. Guarded by Marsh, and the layup is good, as it is an 8-point game. Fox with it on the wing. Gets it over to Jalen Richmond, guarded by Agbaji. Richmond, nice move, and his layup is good. Richmond isn't a three-point shooter, but he can really do everything else. Inside as a scorer, very effective, and he's got a good all-around game. Griffin for 3. That one will fall. It has been quite the start for Khalil Griffin in his first game back, with 17 here in the first half, as the lob is unsuccessful. Pelicans get it back, though. Martin to Richmond. He misses the 3. Shocking. Herb Jones now for 3. And that one is good. Nice play by Okongwu with the offensive rebound, as New Orleans has continued to shoot the 3-ball just fine. Caleb Marsh misses at the buzzer, and that'll wrap up a very low-scoring first half, 61-55. Overall, it's been an offensive struggle. Maybe New Orleans should play their all-NBA scorer with the starters, but that's just me. Now, De'Aaron Fox has been effective. He's got 18, but the rest of their lineup, with the exception of Fox and Richmond, has not been very good offensively. Who could have guessed that coming into the game? I know, shocking. Here's an early turnover. Richmond has it ripped away from Marsh. Out to Sharp for 3, and that one is good. The best offense is good defense. Nice transition play by the Blazers. 66-55. Nice pass inside. Fox with the layup with the nice off-ball cut, and it's 66-57. Marsh looking for the screen from Springer. Marsh on the drive. Springer's going to be wide open on the wing for 3, and that one is good. Portland really shooting the 3-ball well over the past few minutes. Sharp heaves up a prayer, and he is fouled. Number 1 rule of defense, don't foul the jump shooter. Number 2 rule of defense, don't foul them when they're obviously going to miss. Sharp would not have made that shot. Instead, he gets 3 free throws, and he would make them all. De'Aaron Fox with the layup, 71-62. Portland's offense looking exceptional here in the third, and it's because they're going with the same strategy. Pick and pop! Another one for Springer. He's got 16 and 10 off the 3 as he backs down on Troyland Battle and hits the hook shot over him. Springer and Battle, 2 of the brightest young stars in our league, as it's 79-65. Marsh is intercepted by the former Arizona State Sun Devil. It's Troyland Battle who has it tipped and stolen away by Marsh. Little revenge. On the other end, here's Sharp over to Marsh. He was nearly intercepted. Hands it off to Porzingis, guarded by Richmond. Kristaps is doubled. Springer, wide open 3 is good. Springer, 3 for 3 from deep here in the third quarter. I don't know why they're just leaving these guys wide open on the perimeter. They've stolen our defensive strategy, as Agbaji is in for the layup. The lead sits at 17. The Blazers are starting to pour on this lead. Richmond heaves it up at the end of the shot clock. It is no good. Great defensive possession by the Blazers, and they're quickly looking to run the floor. Griffin on the drive. Hello! Griffin with the slam and some extracurricular with the rim at the end. A big-time, powerful slam by Khalil Griffin, his first points of the third quarter. Given some extra credit, as it's 86-67. 19-point game stolen by Agbaji. Nobody in front of them. He's in with the fast break slam. 14 points and pretty much no other stats for Agbaji. Buckets and vibes. 21-point game. Richmond in the corner. Agbaji letting him shoot, and he makes it. Sometimes, again, sagging off doesn't work. But oftentimes, like today, it has. Agbaji misses the 3, but he's fouled by Richmond. The Pelicans have just lost control. Either they're letting our shooters stay open from 3, or they're fouling them. No words. Ochai would make all 3 at the line as Agbaji loses it. Good defense from Cameron Banks with the steal out to Richmond, as he will miss the layup. Good defense by Darius Springer. Now on the other end, Springer has Cole Anthony open. Line 2 is good for Cole, and it's a 19-point lead once again. 2 minutes to go in the third. Springer, pump fake on that drive. Hello, mama! There goes that man! Darius Springer with some style, looking to make it back to the dunk contest possibly, as both him and Caleb Marsh are rumored to be in this year's dunk contest, which we will not be participating in. There's Jalen Richmond, misses the open 3. Portland's sag-off does work there. On the other end, Springer, layup is good. Richmond cannot hold him. A couple of former top Duke picks battling it out inside. It's a 25-point game now. Richmond, open three, is good. He's made 4 threes today. Give him credit. Richmond hasn't shot the ball half bad. 99-77. Another slam for Springer. He's up to 29 points. I think 21 of which have come in the third. Springer is on another level. Marsh, pump fake at the buzzer. No good. And that'll wrap up quarter number 3. What a quarter for the Portland Trailblazers, who outscore the Pelicans by about 20 in just that one quarter. This was a close game for 20 minutes. Now it looks like a blowout. So because of that, I don't really think we need to play the fourth quarter, especially because Portland's offense would continue to pour it on. The Blazers scored 55 in the fourth quarter and will win this game by 46. The deficit was like 5 at halftime. What happened? I was so worried about the Pelicans' perimeter shooting, but it was their perimeter defense that was awful. My strategy was to sag off on defense, and they copied us. And guess what? It backfired because we scored 95 points in the second half on 80% shooting and 67% from 3. We had 45 points in the third and 55 points in the fourth quarter. Springer with 40, 15, and 6 on 6 of 8 shooting from 3 because they did not cover him from 3. He's not Herb Jones and Jalen Richmond. He can actually shoot the 3 ball. 26 for Griffin, 23 for Ochai, 22 and 8 for Shaedon Sharpe. Porzingis, Anthony, and Suleiman also in the double figures. And obviously, the shooting splits from the whole team are just unbelievable. As for New Orleans, 37 for De'Aaron Fox. He was really good. I thought Jalen Richmond shot the 3 ball well, but nobody else was all that impressive. Troyland Battle playing 16 minutes is a crime. He's a top 10 player in the NBA. Why is he coming off the bench for Herb Jones, who is a liability on offense? And Battle isn't even that bad defensively, but even if he was, it still wouldn't make sense. There just seems to be so much fundamentally wrong with this New Orleans team, from having their best player come off the bench to making Big 12 football defenses look like the presidential defense. I mean, my God, was that defensive performance piss poor. We're going to simulate through this game against the Wizards, and we've got some easy teams here like the Clippers and Washington, but we've also got some tough opponents. The Jazz have played a lot better. The Raptors are really good. The Hawks and Celtics are both competing for play-in spots in the Eastern Conference. So that week of 4 games could be pretty tough, especially considering it's going to be without our best player. Hyperextended knee for Darius Springer. He played through the injury and was terrible. Season low in rebounds. And by the way, just the 4th game all year where he did not record a double-double. And the 1st game where he's been in the single digits in points. So clearly that injury affected him. We're going to bring back Zay Logan a little bit early. And Khalil Griffin is going to have to step up in terms of the rebounding. And he did in that last game with a career-high 21. Zay Logan is now fully healthy. I tacked on a couple extra minutes, and he'll be good to go. We get offered a trade here from, interestingly, Sacramento. They want Ochai Agbaji. That's going to be a hell no, because Ochai has been so good since coming back from injury. The Celtics want Caleb Marsh for Jordan Poole. I want whatever crack they're on. Ochai Agbaji twisted left ankle in that last game against Washington. He shouldn't miss too much time, as we ended up going 5-1. 4-1 without Darius Springer. We beat the Jazz convincingly. 40 ball from Khalil Griffin. That's a career high. We blew out Toronto. That's nice to see. We did lose to Boston. The offense was abysmal there. But overall, we have survived without Scoot Henderson and now without Darius Springer. With that, we're going to make it to the trade deadline in the next episode. Currently 6 games ahead in the Western Conference, but we've got some really good teams on the schedule. The Spurs, the Kings, the Nets twice, the Raptors, the Bucks, the Jazz, the Pistons. That is a brutal schedule before it gets easier right before the All-Star break. And speaking of, the All-Star voting is now here. They're finally giving Shaedon Sharpe respect. He's in 7th. Scoot Henderson was in the top 10 the whole time, but he's just been replaced by Prospero. So Scoot Henderson, 100%, would have been an All-Star if not for the injury. Darius Springer, meanwhile, is in 3rd in terms of Western Conference front court voting. But the bigger takeaway I have with this graphic is not any of the votes. Look at Wembanyama. Ruptured Achilles. Done for the year. Whoa. This changes everything in the Western Conference playoff race. The best player in the league on one of the best teams in our conference is done. He actually got injured a couple of weeks ago, so this isn't entirely new. And since the injury, the Spurs have unsurprisingly been horrible. They are 1-5 since Wembanyama got hurt. He's already dropped below Springer in the MVP race. And now that Wemby's done for the season, Darius Springer has a clear path to the MVP. If the Mavericks don't make the playoffs, there's not an argument for Luka Doncic to be ahead of Darius Springer. And there's a real shot that Darius Springer could win the MVP. And more importantly, for the playoff race, the Spurs have no chance to win the title. That knocks out one of our biggest threats in the Western Conference. And there's still 4 or 5 other teams in this conference who are going to give us a lot of trouble. But after the game Wemby had against us today, the Spurs went right back to number 1 on my worry list. And now they're one of the worst teams in the league. So I'm very curious to see how this changes things in the Western Conference. And we're going to talk more about this in the next episode. We're going to wrap things up here. I hope everybody enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.